I am Daniel Esplin. My son is Maverick Esplin. He plays the drums, I play guitar, and our band is called Ruff Justice. So the name Ruff Justice comes from a completely ridiculous place. The Estevan City Police were getting a new police dog, and they had kind of a competition for the schools to come up with a new name for this dog, right? I thought, well, the perfect name would be Ruff Justice because it's cute, you know, and it's in the literal sense, it's what a police dog is, you know. You don't want to have a run-in with a police dog. But anyways, the dog eventually became Max, and just kind of as a joke, the first time Maverick came up on stage with me at the Happy Nun in Forget, he played his little bass, and I said, well, if we're gonna come up, we should call ourselves something else, because I was playing under a different name at that time. I said, well, we should be Ruff Justice, and we both laughed and just thought it would be perfect because it's such a silly name, and the story behind it is so silly. So I've asked Maverick a bunch of times, like, do you still want to use this name? And he's always said, no, I love the name, so this is what we're gonna be forever. Maverick's love for the drums is really interesting because years and years ago, probably when he was like 3 or 4, I knew that if he could play music, that would be great, but I never wanted to really pressure him to pick anything up, right? Because he's so young, and eventually if he got the interest in it, then I know how rewarding it could be. I knew that eventually if he could figure that out, then it would be really great for him. And we started out with him playing guitar and this little bass that I built him. And just with his size compared to what a guitar size is, he never really took to it. And once he started sitting at my drums, we asked him if he would want to make the switch. Just right away, he was like, yes, that would be awesome.
My name is Maverick and I play the drums. I started playing the drums when I was 6 or 7, so I think it's been like a year and a half or something. There's like a lot of different sounds you can play, and you could just keep making beats as long as you live.
Well, my favorite part about creating music with Maverick is the same way I feel about creating music in general. It's just so much fun to be able to create something out of nothing. And for me, it's even more rewarding because Maverick is doing it at the same time. He gets maybe a little input here or there on like maybe a drum beat or two, but for the most part, he figures it all out for himself. So it's a real collaborative effort. And if you've never gone through something like that, trying to create something with someone and knowing how frustrating it could be, but also how incredibly satisfying it could be, it's just, I don't know, there's something special about it. And so I really am grateful that I have that opportunity and that we like playing together.
Well, it's just a nice surprise. Like, I like practicing with him. I like moving around the stuff and everything. It's really fun.
So the process for making our own music either goes one of 2 ways. Sometimes he'll be shown a beat, you know, as part of his lessons, and then we'll kind of work from there and I'll come up with something on the fly. Or it could be that I already have a song. I said, well, why don't you play along with me and we'll figure it out that way. So it can go either way. Sometimes before we'll start playing, he'll just start up with the beat and I'll just start playing with it. A few things have come up that way.
I like playing the drums right here, and I have a mini drum kit in my room that I like to play. And I think they like me practicing in the house.
So Maverick's drum teacher is my best friend, Stan. We know him as Uncle Stan because of how close he's been to my family. When I first started playing music outside of high school, it was kind of a weird situation where I had all these people saying, hey, you should play music with him. And I was like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm not really looking to do anything. And yeah, eventually once I started playing with him, we eventually became best friends, right? And so we kind of lost touch for a little bit until Maverick was born. And then one thing led to another a few years later where I told him we're gonna get Maverick playing drums, and automatically said, well, I would love to teach him. And it worked out perfect because during the pandemic where he started playing drums, it's not like he could have gone to a drum teacher, right? Everything was shut down. So automatically, he already had this really great relationship because this is Uncle Stan. and now he's teaching him how to play drums. And Stan is top of the class when it comes to drumming, and he's just been so great with teaching Maverick. So he's really benefited from having that experience, to have someone weekly that can kind of teach him how to figure the drums out.
Well, first he started out with basic beats at the very start, and then he started getting more leveled up and leveled up and leveled up. And now I can just play like naturally.
Music has affected my life in probably so many ways. I can't even quantify it. Being a musician is a big part of that, but even just listening to music and kind of figuring my own life out. You know, especially when I was a teenager, and I'm sure this is the same for everybody, you kind of find a voice through someone else that is saying something that maybe you don't know how to say, or maybe you're not comfortable with saying. And that's what I've always loved about music, is it's almost like a book. You're like getting a view into someone's mind, and they're sometimes saying things that you haven't figured out yet, but can make a huge impact in your life. And so it's always been that way for me, but especially when you're young, it's really hard to really be creative and put yourself out there if you're not really comfortable with that. And with the instrument, you just kind of are sitting behind it and you're just going along with everything else. And so it's incredibly freeing in that I can express happiness and sadness or whatever kind of emotion on an instrument. And it's just, there's the total freedom that way, where it doesn't even matter. Once the song's done, it's done, you know? And so it's been great for me in that way, just having a creative outlet that is so easily used to express myself. I would say for anybody that wants to pick up an instrument, it is the most rewarding thing you could do with your life as far as being able to express your creativity, but it's also incredibly difficult. So you have to love overcoming each and every challenge, and daily you will come across challenges. So if you love that sort of thing, it's something where you can really thrive and find enjoyment in all parts of it. Even if you're just practicing and noodling around, that could be incredibly enjoyable if you enjoy that sort of thing. So I would say for anybody that wants to pick up an instrument, first off, don't be discouraged by seeing someone and thinking, well, they're just naturally talented, because nobody really is. Everybody's put in their 10,000 hours to get to the point where they want to be. And if you want to have something that really is worth enjoying for the rest of your life, you have to work for it, but it's totally worth it. With my daughter Alice, we're gonna take it the same way we have with Maverick. We're not gonna push them to play music, but just knowing how infectious it could be, you kind of just expect that eventually she'll pick it out. She's kind of like a Disney movie character where constantly around the house, which is the same way that I am, you just sing about nothing, you know, sing about her stuffed cat sitting on a couch, stuff like that. So she already has a musical brain, and she thinks about that. And then as far as instruments, she's always playing this harmonica that used to be Maverick's. He gave it to her. And so she'll play along with that when we're playing music down here. She's got a little drum that she'll kind of bang on, and there's instruments. There's definitely a good supply of instruments in the house. So if she picks it up, great. If she wants to take lessons, then eventually she can do that.
I like a song that's called Can You Let the Dog In? And it has some of my favorite beats I've ever came up with. I do not want to play the drums as a job because I want to be an engineer, but I want to keep playing them for the rest of my life.
When I first moved to Saskatchewan, I just assumed that there was going to be a huge music scene like it was when I was in Vancouver and Nelson and growing up in Lethbridge. But in fact, it was the exact opposite. And so when I finally discovered the Happy Nun and that they had an open mic, it was just this great moment of relief where I was like, oh my gosh, there's a place with musicians that play music, and this is going to be awesome. And so I played the open mics there for years and years, and then Maverick joined me. He played his little bass. First time we called ourselves Ruff Justice. And then for the songs that we've chosen to play, we've tried to go for diversity, because with being able to play whatever we want, we take advantage of that, and we literally do. So we're gonna play the first song we ever wrote. We're gonna play my favorite song to play right now, The Fly of Darkness. And then we have a bit of a more heavy song, we'll say, that Maverick really enjoys playing.